one. We're AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Well, on the occasion of the Dow breaking the 30,000 barrier for the first time, President Trump held a brief press briefing.
Brief.
And I do mean brief.
Well, thank you very much. And I just want to congratulate everybody. The stock market, Dow Jones Industrial Average, just hit 30,000, which is the highest in history. We've never broken 30,000, and that's just despite everything that's taken place with the pandemic. I'm very thrilled with what's happened on the vaccine front. That's been absolutely incredible. It's nothing like that has ever happened medically, and I think people are acknowledging that, and it's having a big effect. But the stock market's just broken 30,000. Never been broken, that number. That's a sacred number, 30,000. Nobody thought they'd ever see it. That's the 9th time since the beginning of 2020, and it's the 48th time that we've broken records during the Trump administration. And I just want to congratulate all the people within the administration that work so hard. And most importantly, I want to congratulate the people of our country, because there are no people like you. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Mr. President, where you concede. Mr.
Yeah,
President.
and on a hot mic, one of the reporters said that was weird as shh.
Poo-poo.
It was a little strange. I mean, just first of all, we've talked about this before. This president, any president, claiming credit or taking blame for where the Dow or the NASDAQ is on any given day is a bit silly. The other thing, like we all did this together. Yeah, I mean, it's a real testament to quantitative easing, isn't it? Not that I'm not complaining, because my investment funds benefit like anybody else in the market. But gosh, I don't know. For more on this, we're pleased to be joined by a Wall Street Journal columnist and Trumponomics author, Steve Moore. Steve, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hey, good morning, guys. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving to you. What about Trump's decision to come out and make sure everybody knew that the reason the Dow's at 30,000 is because of him?
Well, look, I disagree with you on this. I mean, it's one thing to look at, to talk about 1 or 2 days or a week or a month's increase in the Dow, but we've seen these trends now for 4 years. This has been an incredibly bullish market.
Yeah.
It's been a time, when I think when he came into office, we were at about 24,000. Now we're at 30,000. That's an incredible long bull market expansion. And by the way, don't forget, it was exactly 4 years ago, Dan and Amy, that people like Paul Krugman said that if Donald Trump is elected president, we're going to have a Great Depression and the stock market is going to crash. So, I think Krugman thought that the Dow was going to be at 15,000, not 30,000 after 4 years of Trump. And one last thing, I don't think there's any question in my mind that if the election were today, Donald Trump would win easily. I mean, we've had 2 incredible accomplishments. One is the continued boom of the economy, and the second is this vaccine. Not one vaccine, but it now looks like there are 3 that are going to be available by the early next year. And incidentally, that's by far the fastest we've ever had a vaccine developed. Usually it takes 5 or 6 years. Those are 2 stupendous accomplishments.
Yeah, but Biden's team is saying, wait a minute now, the Dow Jones Industrial Average hit 30,000 because he announced his national security team.
Yeah, and his Treasury Secretary. Look, I actually think that Janet Yellen is probably a pretty solid choice for Biden. By the way, I would make the case, Amy, that this was a big sigh of relief that it's not Elizabeth Warren who's going to be the Treasury Secretary.
Was Janet Yellen, before she was an economist, was she Captain Kangaroo on that TV show? Wasn't she?
No. That's a very politically incorrect.
Well, they have the same blazer and hairstyle.
I'm just
You guys
asking.
are mean.
Yeah.
You think?
Mean girls.
But look, I think what's going on right now, the big question for the stock market, of course, is what happens in those Georgia Senate races. You all know Republicans have to win 1 out of the 2. If they don't, then you get not only Biden, but you get also Pelosi running the House, and you get Chucky Schumer running the Senate. So you get a murder's row with no check and balance on the tax increases, the Green New Deal, the Medicare for all, the making, Washington, D.C., the 51st state, the court backing, the filibuster on. I think that one of the reasons the market has been, pretty buoyant is that even though Biden is president and going to be president likely, and even though his policies are, in my opinion, very bad on the economy, I think investors believe that a lot of those policies will never be enacted.
Well, I mean, since I guess we're going to go along with this idea we're all Keynesians now, we believe things that are untrue, like government spending is stimulative. We believe in the Phillips curve, like Janet Yellen still does. Then we might as, if we're going to do that, and we're going to believe that quantitative easing had nothing to do with the rebound in the stock market, $7 trillion in additional debt, then well, why not why not throw another trillion on the pyre in the form of COVID-19 relief, send another round of $1,200 checks out, and more expand unemployment benefits and the whole thing.
So, look, you and I and most rational people understand what the pinheads in Washington don't understand, which is that government spending is a negative for the economy. It's not a positive. It's a negative for the economy because the government, takes a dollar from productive people and gives the dollar to unproductive people. That's not a way to get more productivity. And we also know that printing money is not the solution to, a crisis. You can't just print. If printing money were the solution to a crisis, Mexico would be the richest country in the world. So that stuff doesn't work. And you're right, Dan, that there is this kind of superstition, I guess I'd use the word, that somehow we can get out of our troubles by printing money and by spending. Now, that being said, I think one of the most heroic things Donald Trump has done in the last 3 or 4 months has been to resist this call for another, $2-3 trillion spending bill. I mean, Trump basically, even to his own political peril, perhaps, said, no, Nancy Pelosi, I'm not going to give you $2.5-3 trillion so you can give the money to Illinois and California and New York and Connecticut and Rhode Island. We're not doing that. And we are not going to give another $600 a week benefits in unemployment to people. We have a new report coming out from Casey Mulligan at University of Chicago this week that shows we would have 4 million fewer working Americans if Trump had agreed to that, because if you pay people not to work, that's what they won't work. So I think Trump deserves a lot of credit for that. And what he has proven, Dan, is that we don't need another stimulus. The economy is doing fine without it.
What if you could get Democrats to agree on lawsuit indemnification?
Did you ask, will they agree to it?
No. What if you could get congressional Democrats to agree on indemnifying businesses from lawsuits? Then would you horse trade money for that?
Several more million people working. I mean, that would be the greatest stimulus of all, right?
No, I know, but would you horse trade? Would you horse trade what they want for that?
Well, it depends on what the deal is, but do we need to send checks out, $1,200 checks out to people? No. Do we need increased unemployment insurance? No. Do we want a blue state bailout? No. Do we want to give $150 billion to the schools that aren't open? No. I mean, tell me what you like about that package, Dan.
I don't like anything about that package. I'm just asking you what you think would be a deal to be made if you could indemnify businesses to encourage them to open and be unafraid of opening.
So my view on this has been very consistent from the start. The only stimulus that really matters is allowing businesses to open up and allowing workers to go back on the job. There's no amount of checks the government can write to people that can offset the negative impact of putting businesses into bankruptcy. And, I have 2 good friends here in my local area, in the D.C. area, who own restaurants. And, Dan and Amy, they put their whole life savings into those restaurants. I mean, they put everything they had into it. They spent 5 to 10 years building up the restaurants. It's not an easy business. I know the politicians sound like geniuses about business. They don't know anything about business. And both of them are very teetering on the verge of bankruptcy because guess what? Washington, D.C. is shut down again. Maryland is shutting down again. And you can't do this to your businesses. It's the men and women who put everything they got into it. And now they're going to get smacked right on the nose again. And it's happening in Chicago as well, right? Your restaurants are shutting down.
During the busiest time of the year. That's
exactly. Sure. You know what they did here? I don't know if they did in Chicago. They're saying tonight, by the way, the Wednesday before Thanksgiving is one of the biggest restaurant nights of the year.
It's
right?
a party night, yeah.
A lot of yes, and a lot of states now they're saying that no restaurants on the Wednesday before Thanksgiving.
Right, and they're cutting off alcohol sales in Pennsylvania tonight too.
But they're not cutting off heroin possession in Oregon. So you have
No,
that going
and they're
for
not
you.
shutting down marijuana stores.
And also, if you're having a parade celebrating Joe Biden's presidency, you can do that, but you can't go into a rest stop.
That's right. Let me ask you this, Steve. You mentioned at the outset about the Georgia Senate runoffs, and we know it would be a catastrophe where both of those races go down and you lose control of the Senate. We know what's going to happen then. We're going to become France. If that doesn't happen and Republicans do control
France without the food, right?
Yeah, exactly. If that doesn't happen, Republicans retain control of the Senate. What is the thing you most worry about Biden being able to get through with some Republican support?
I don't think there's almost any likelihood of a taxing. You mean if he has a Republican Senate?
Right.
Oh, I don't think that there would be a tax increase. I just don't think Republicans would go along with that. But I do think Republicans are likely to go along with big spending initiatives because Republicans are big spenders now too, Dan. I hate to disillusion you.
Yeah.
They like spending money as much as Democrats do. So I worry about a budget blowout under a Biden, presidency. And the other thing I'm really worried about is what is with this weird obsession the left has with climate change. I mean, here we are in the middle of a pandemic. We still have, 10 million Americans we've got to get jobs for. We've got, rioting in the streets of a lot of our cities.
Kids back in school.
They're failing. And all they want to talk about is climate change. I mean, these people are...
Well, that's because they announced the czar yesterday. He's going to make it all better. But Stephen Moore, I just wanted to ask you this. I know that you have an inside to President Trump. How is he doing? Is he accepting this? Where does he stand right now?
Well, I think a lot of us are still, including, the Trump folks like myself, and we're still in a little bit of denial. This is what, the second stage of grief or the first stage? Look, they haven't thrown in the towel. I am extraordinarily annoyed by the media saying, how dare Donald Trump, question the results of the voters. Look, it's very likely that Biden has won this election, but it's not certain. There's still votes to be counted. There's still a lot of evidence that, I don't want to use the word evidence, suspicion of widespread fraud in a lot of these states like Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Georgia. But, I was thinking about 4 years ago. I mean, the left had riots in the streets when Trump was elected. The left at this point 4 years ago, go back, folks, and look at the record. The left was basically trying to do this ploy where electors would vote against the person, against Donald Trump, even though he had won the state. I mean, that's a coup. That's a coup attempt. And then, of course, they had spent 2 years trying to, on a phony, charge of Russia collusion, tried to impeach the man. So this idea that somehow Republicans and Trump are trying to overturn an election, I mean, Democrats, look in the damn mirror.
He is Steve Moore, Wall Street Journal columnist, economist, and author of Trumponomics. Steve, happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I'm going to have 11 people over. Please don't tell my governor.
We're getting on the phone to Kay Northam right after you get off.
Governors, they're going around with binoculars, looking in people's windows to make sure there are not too many people around the Thanksgiving table.
Sickening. All right. Have a good one. And remember, gobble, 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 gobble. And Stephen Moore joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Listen to podcasts of Dan and Amy from the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
I'm Dan Proft.
And I'm Amy Jacobson. We want